Can we all rise for the pledge, please? And after the pledge, we're just going to do a quick moment of silence, and then you guys can leave, all right? Okay. So our flag is this way, guys. There you go. About fit. We'll get a picture, Lynn. Okay, you ready? Who's going to start us? All right. Salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can everybody stay standing for a moment of silence in honor of Pearl Harbor Day? Okay, thank you. Troop 137, I appreciate you guys coming in this evening. You're welcome to go home now and get your homework done and behave. Don't, you ate all that chocolate, don't misbehave. Thank you, fellas. Thank you.
I won't shake Tom's hand, but I'll be snapping and shake yours.
We got a meeting. Thank you.
They're going there now.
Thank you.
Great job, John.
Thank you, sir.
Can I mention that?
We got a meeting.
See you, David.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, three.
Thank you.
Tom, I didn't get a shake, so I'll be sure to.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye. Wow, it's quiet now. Okay, well, welcome to the December meeting. You guys ready? You all set? All right, first of all, thank you to Troop 137 of the Cub Scouts of Cold Spring for leading us in the pledge. Welcome to the December meeting of the Philipstown Town Board. So we'll start right up to approval of minutes. Public hearing of October 18th, 2023. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Workshop meeting of October 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Workshop meeting of October 25th.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Regular meeting November 2nd, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Public hearing of Continental Village Park District, Continental Village Water District budget of November 8th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Public hearing, general budget, November 8th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Committee reports, Conservation Board.
Conservation Board met on November 14th at 7:30. There were two correspondents to the Planning Board, one for RKB Materials at 39 Horseman's Trail, the second for Kresniki Plaza LLC. Conservation Board had a discussion about Kresniki Plaza and the installation of oil storage tanks within close proximity to Clove Creek tributary. As noted, this is one of the projects that raised the town board's attention and relook at current zoning around use of oil storage tanks in that area. Also had the Conservation Board plan to visit both sites. Other business, 498 Sprout Brook Road, applicant is seeking a permit to construct a driveway and single-family home. They decided to move the work out of the wetlands buffer before starting work. Applicant at 15 Kings Dock Road is seeking approval to put a seasonal floating dock in and expand an existing house in addition of a year-round swimming pool facility. There's a disagreement between the applicant over the town's purview of this issue and the conservation's ability to have purview over the issue. So the Conservation Board is going to reach out to Steve Gabba, the town attorney, to discuss. The Conservation Board also heard from 20 South Mountain Pass Spur that is putting on a additional structure, which is in an existing wetland buffer. So the Conservation Board asked that they think of other mitigations to build in that buffer, including expanding the green roof they're putting on, having a more detailed stormwater plan, and planting native species. There will be no December meeting of the Conservation Board.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Thank you to the Conservation Board. Recreation.
Good evening. I have a recreation report from Cecily Hall, the director. The programming at the rec center is up in the early winter session with most classes and programs at full capacity. The full winter session kicks off in January, and most programs are filling up quickly. Winter has become a very busy time at the rec center, especially for gym usage, which now holds programming 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. There is very little room for any rentals or additional programs or events. Speaking of events, the rec center is featuring the Winter Youth Theater production of Elf, which is the weekend of December 16th, complete with dinner and activities for children following the show. Philipstown Park, though the park remains closed for the season, we are in a holding pattern with Central Hudson and the Highway Department and the Erickson Company for digging of the water line, which is needed for the pavilion at the park. The Central Hudson needs to determine where the electrical line sits across the south field there before the digging can begin, and hopefully before the ground gets too hard. We are currently working at the rec center. They're working with Climate Smart Philipstown to explore the possibility of installing another electric charging station for e-cars at the back of the parking lot. Climate Smart and Burke Electric will be visiting the site, and the building staff in the coming weeks, along with other electric companies to see the most appropriate site, and then they will bid for that work. There is an update on recreation on fees. There is a next phase of collecting outstanding fees from families. And the rec is proud to report that they've received a majority of the fees that were owed and overdue. So thank you to all the families that paid their dues. As of December 1st, those families who have still not brought their accounts to date are now under restricted status. That means they're not going to be able to register themselves or their children for any programs until they submit payment or agree to a payment plan going forward. And as always, if any family needs financial assistance to pay for programs, they can reach out to the town. The next Rec Commission meeting's January 30th at 7:30 p.m. at the Philipstown Recreation Center. Thank you.
Judy, one question. Are they thinking about putting the ice skating rink up this year or no?
Yes, despite last year we didn't have really cold enough weather for it to freeze, they're still going ahead with the ice rink at the rec center this year.
Just when I asked the question when I
Yes.
was down there last week, they weren't 100% sure, but they said they were going to have the meeting and
Yes,
so I just
yes,
wanted to-
they still want to have the ice rink
Well, if
there.
we
We
put
don't
those-
know if it'll freeze this
Yeah,
year.
well, hopefully if they put the ice rink up, it will get use. You know, that's what it's there for. I mean, it's a nice thing to.
it ever froze last year.
Yeah, I know.
And we
Unfortunately,
thank the Garrison Fire Department for filling the ice rink
yeah.
every year.
so
Judy, I just have one quick question. Did
Sure.
they talk about the pavilion at all?
Yes, we did talk, that was about the electrical
Okay.
line, that has to be, I mean, for the water line, they have to
Okay.
determine if there's an electrical,
So we need to
Line
get
there.
electric from the well station or the well house to the pavilion, as well as the water lines.
Lots of steps.
However, there's a Central Hudson transformer that's in the field, and nobody can tell us where the wires are. Maybe Glenn could figure it out. We'll have to
can't
ask
they
him.
call it 888?
They tried that.
They did that?
But Central Hudson is going to come out apparently and map it out, because
Okay.
nobody knows where that electric goes, and the last thing we want to do is tear it out.
No.
No.
So we will work on, hopefully by the spring, we'll have that pavilion.
we hope. I mean, the Friends of Philipstown Recreation's been working for years on this pavilion, and we can't wait for it to open for families.
So it's a beautiful,
Yes,
it's a beautiful building.
it's a beautiful building, we want everyone to be able to use it.
Yeah, real
So we need
bathrooms.
running water with real
No
bathrooms.
more porta potties.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you
to
to
the rec.
Cecily and all the rec staff. They do a wonderful
It's amazing
job.
that the gymnasium, you said, is used 7 days a week.
9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
That's amazing.
I mean, we have such demand. We just had demand for another group to rent it for some meetings,
Right.
and we don't have, there's no time
That's
available.
the way it should be. It should be utilized.
Yes,
I'm happy it's
all the
utilized.
space is utilized.
All righty, Philipstown Hub.
Philipstown Hub, Chris Owens, the executive director, submitted a report and wanted to report on the Board of Directors meeting, which was November 12th. And the next Board of Directors meeting will be December 19th. Since the November meeting of the board, they focused on completing their annual report, which if you don't have one, you can get a copy downstairs. Nice little Hub annual report, which lists all the activities. At the end of 2023, they want to encourage anyone who would like to support the Hub to do so at this time, tomorrow. The Chamber of Commerce, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce of Cold Spring. Cold Spring Aglow festivities will support the Philipstown Hub. The Hub was very busy in November. It was the busiest month of the year. The total number of touch points with people increased by 20.7%. From November, there were 334 people that were served by the Hub, 12% higher than November 2021. And in phone call contacts, it increased 164% over October of last year. This year, there were 141 phone contacts compared to 86 last year. Emails increased by 173% to the Hub. This year, 168 emails compared to 97 last year. And text increased 764%, which is amazing. They received almost 100 texts this year compared to 11 last year. So thank you to the Philipstown Hub for all the service to the community, and we look forward to seeing you at Cold Spring Aglow tomorrow
We are
from
so
4 to 8 p.m. on Main Street in
so
Cold Spring.
fortunate to have the Hub here.
Yes, we're very fortunate.
All righty, thank you, Judy, and thank you to the Hub. Planning Board.
Okay, Planning Board. I attended the Planning Board November 16th, 7:30. First thing on the agenda was a request to return escrow to KPB Properties LLC, 201 West Point Road. That was approved. Next on the agenda, old business, was Garrison Golf Course Shakespeare Festival. The board approved the FDIS, and as you see later on the agenda, there will be a presentation here this evening on number 6 later on this evening, probably within another half hour or so. After that, the next was on the agenda, which was Jason already brought up for the Conservation Board, RKB Materials, 39 Horseman Trail Road. There was a site visit on November 5th. They discussed everything was discussed during that site visit. Everything seems to be in order, and they are going forward to have a public hearing on January 18th, which will be the next planning board. There will be no planning board meeting in the month of December. Next on the agenda is Kwanzaa Plaza, which is 3626 Route 9 in Cold Spring. This has only been in the planning board about 3 months now or so, but this is it's considered a major project. Construction of a 9,500 square foot building, 3,600 square foot building to be used as office space, and remaining 5,900 square feet as a warehouse and storage. This applicant is also proposing the use of facility to house the existing fencing and heating oil company associated with another 9,000 square foot under outdoor storage area with 3 29,200 gallon oil tanks facilities with a canopy over them. There was a public site visit on 11/5, the same day as the other one I just mentioned. There was many citizens there that did come to this walkthrough. They voiced a lot of their concerns, which are many concerns as trucks coming and going out of that facility, and it's not going to be it's going to be tractor trailers and so forth like that. It's not just a single dual axle trucks. And then the 90,000 gallons worth of oil storage, concerns about possible failure, leak, so forth like that. It's being close to Clove Creek, our aquifer, wetlands nearby. The board indicated that it's too early to schedule a public hearing, so they'll be back in front of the planning board on January 18th. As I indicated already, there'll be no planning board meeting in December. The next one will be January 18th, 7:30. End of report.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you to the Planning Board. Zoning.
Hello. The zoning board met on November 13th. They approved the minutes for October. There was a public hearing for 64 Lake Surprise Road in Cold Spring. The applicant is seeking variance for a renovation of a 2,100 square foot print building to create a 1,509 square foot accessory apartment, which was approved by the zoning board. There's no new business, there's no old business. They are not meeting in December, and they will be meeting on January 8th, which is the second Monday, 2024. Rolls right off the tongue.
You're set? Oh,
That's
thank-
it.
Thank you to the zoning board. Thank you, Megan. Highway.
Present, Adam Toltelling, Highway Superintendent, work performed for the month of November. Crews are been out this month blowing leaves, grading, pipe work, potholing. 2024 materials bid to the Highway Department was open on November 17th, which is part of our agenda as well this evening to approve that. Prep work has been finished, awaiting the paving of the new highway garage driveway and parking lot. It was supposed to be done the first week of November. Obviously, it hasn't been completed yet. I need to get an update. Do you know if they're still going to do it this year?
What's that? Yeah, they're doing it tomorrow.
Oh, they're doing it tomorrow. Okay, great. I was just curious if it was going to get done. I also want to know this deer season. Just be aware, there's more deer out now this time of year with hunting season and so forth like that, and this is when deers are migrating. So just be a little bit more cautious, especially early in the morning and in the evenings of deers. As you know, if you hit a deer, your car is not going to fare too well.
The deer will go off.
Deer crossing signs already.
After consistent repairs of the case loader was traded in for a new one, which was purchased through the CHIPS program, which we approved last month. The month of November, the Highway Department received about 30 phone calls and spent $5,600 on vehicle maintenance. Monthly report submitted by Adam Hotelling, Highway Superintendent. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you to the Highway Department, Adam, Tommy, and the whole crew, and thank you, Bobby, for the report. Building and land acquisitions, I have nothing, other than the highway garage is getting paved tomorrow, so that will complete the project. So, Cemetery Committee.
There's nothing to report for the cemetery committee.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I discussed, the clerk brought it to my attention, we have items 6 and 7, which is the Shakespeare event, Shakespeare property change. So you guys are the only ones here for that part of the meeting, so we're going to move you up to go first so you can get out of here. You don't have to wait and listen to the rest of the meeting.
Come
So-
on, Glenn likes being here.
Karen, you want to go ahead and read item 6?
So, item number 1 will be a presentation by representatives of Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival and the Garrison Golf Club, PDD, regarding their petition for a change in zoning.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board. My name is Adam Stollerow. I'm with the law firm Cy, Paget, and Rizal, and we represent the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival and Garrison Properties, LLC. We've submitted a petition for a zoning amendment that would allow the transition of the former Garrison Golf Club property from the previously zoned use as a golf course to the proposed use as a permanent home for the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival. With me here tonight are Davis McCallum, who's the artistic director of Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival, and Kendra Eklund, who's the managing director, and Glenn Watson, who's the project engineer. So the property is currently zoned as a planned development district, or PDD, meaning it has its own zoning requirements that are different from the surrounding rural conservation, or RC zoning. The Garrison Golf Club Planned Development District was approved in 2005. So under the proposed amendments, the Garrison property would remain as a PDD, but the size of the PDD would be reduced, and the allowed uses and zoning requirements in the PDD would change to remove some of the prior golf club elements and to add the theater elements. So specifically, the PDD would be reduced from its current 200 acres approximately to 97.4 acres. That 97.4 acres would just be the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival portion of that property. Most of the rest of the property is going into conservation easement, and there's a 30-acre parcel that's going to be retained by the current owner as to be developed as a single-family home. The petition or the amendment would remove the allowed golf course use. It would remove the destination spa use and remove the core area. The old zoning had like a core area within the PDD where certain uses were allowed. So it would remove, the amendment would remove that core area so that all the land within the amended PDD would have the same zoning uses and bulk requirements. The current use of the Garrison restaurant, the inn, and the banquet hall would remain. And then the amendment proposes additional uses that would be allowed in the amended PDD. And these match the proposal that's gone through SECRA in front of the planning board. So specifically, these are an open air theater with seating for 500, artist and guest lodging, outdoor pavilion for HVSF and community use, a box office / welcome center, theater concession structure, picnic lawns, gardens, meadows, and walking paths, production / rehearsal facility, administrative headquarters, and additional parking spaces. Before the meeting, Steve Gaba alerted me that there were some slight discrepancies between what's that list of uses that's in the petition and the list of uses that are in the local law. And to the extent that the petition uses slightly different language, we would ask to conform the petition to the local law. So the list that, sure.
I took a look at your petition again, and the way that it's phrased actually is the requested amendment would expand the as-of-right permitted uses in the GCC PDD district to include, and then it lists a number of different uses. I think the idea was that the banquet hall, which is the one that's not listed and with facility for 8 guest rooms, is already permitted in the district. And so you just kind of carried it over, but I think if you read it that way, it's already included.
Okay.
The only one I would question, thank you. The only one I would question is we're carrying over customary home occupations. Mm-hmm. Do you really want? I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It just, is that something that Shakespeare really wants?
We probably don't need that.
Well, should we strike it from local law, or should we keep it in local law? I mean, put you on the spot, but it would be good to know.
I don't see any harm with keeping it. The chances that it will be used don't seem great, but I would keep it in if it's all the same.
It's up to the board. But.
Well, if it's a possibility, we might as well keep it in there. I mean, if there is a possibility that you utilize it, it's already an existing condition.
Right.
So it's up to you guys.
I would think we should keep it in, but that's my 2 cents.
What does that mean, customary home occupations?
That's a good question.
I don't know how it's defined in the zoning code. But
Well, customary home occupations is something of an elastic concept because something that's customary in one area isn't necessarily customary in another area. But if you have things like, for example, I sell decoy ducks out of my home. I have a small in-home office where I don't know, something like real estate or you sell Avon products or whatever it is. You have something that ordinarily and customarily is done in as a business out of a home. It's got to be clearly secondary to the residential use, not only in its nature but also in the size of the home that it's taken, the amount of space it's taken up. How this would fit in with the Shakespeare Festival plans, I have no idea, but,
If it's secondary to a residential use, there aren't going to be residential uses on this property, so I guess then we would strike it.
You want to strike it?
Yeah.
Okay. So later on, the board's going to be, I would think, introducing the local law and setting a public hearing on it. When you do that, and this isn't a significant step, but I mean, something you really should do if it's not necessary, just introduce it with the amendment that number 12, customary home occupations, is stricken, and number 13 and 14 are renumbered. It could be 12 and 13.
Can I just ask a clarification on that, Steve? So the list of permitted uses that's in the petition, is that the one that we should be looking at the list of permitted uses in the local law, not the one in the petition?
Yes, in the local law, in the petition, if I'm reading it correctly, and I believe I am, what they said is, here are the uses that are currently permitted in the Garrison Golf Course Plan Development District. We will be adding these new uses, and they list down 14 of them or whatever it is. And we're going to be striking these two, and then they talk about the ones at the golf course and the spa. And the idea was that any uses that were already permitted are going to be carried over. And I think that's the way that the local law was drafted. That's why it's not specifically listed in the petition, because it says, hey, these are the new uses that are going to be added. It's maybe a little bit, it would have been clearer if they said these are the uses that are going to be in it. But I don't see a need to amend the petition, not to mention a copy of the local law they want is actually attached to the petition. So I don't think we need to go there.
So just on the local law, because I was reading the petition, on the petition, there's some differences. An open-air theater in the petition, a permanent open-air theater in the local law. You already mentioned the banquet coming out. In the petition, gardens, in the local law, gardens, meadows, and walking paths. Just a different difference, I don't know if it matters. You mentioned the customary home occupations, and then you're saying municipal uses, which is in the local law, but not the petition, and special events stay.
Because they were already in the Garrison Golf Course Plan Development District, so they're being carried over. And municipal uses you'd want to have anyway, just in case you want to put in a pump station or something like that. Special events, of course, are special events. The banquet facility, though, is staying. It's the spa that's going. The spa was never built, so.
Okay.
And the 8 rooms are staying?
The eight rooms is staying.
Yes,
I think that's what's there now. Yeah, exactly.
correct.
Okay.
So just that one little change, we'll take out customary home occupations, and then we'll renumber 13 and 14 to be 12 and 13, and then you introduce the local law that way.
Good, thank you.
So yeah, to conclude, we're requesting that the town board introduce a resolution to adopt the proposed local law and set a public hearing date for January.
Any questions from the board?
No, I think you addressed, and Steve addressed the questions.
Jason?
I've just got a comment, but when is that appropriate?
Well, we will schedule a public hearing, but if you have a question now.
No, my comment is just this. You know, I think that it's been clear just hearing the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival talk about their plans, and as they've moved into that new space, kind of they've really exhibited a community-minded spirit and openness to the community, especially, you know, because the community enjoyment of those lands, which are so incredible and beautiful, is so important. And I think that you know, that always seems to be part of how Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival is seeing this project. So I was just wondering, this is a suggestion, on the permitted uses, the way the language is written around the outdoor pavilion, and this suggestion is based on the idea of trying to kind of recognize and in the future protect kind of community use of that space in some way, because I know that has always been part of the way the Shakespeare Festival has talked about this new space. Just as an example, the permitted use is written as the outdoor pavilion that will be available for both HVSF use and community events. And I know there's been talk about using that pavilion sometimes for community uses or events, which is a benefit to the community. I just wanted to suggest that sort of language, it be considered for things like picnic lawns as a permitted use, picnic lawns, and then you just repeat the same language that's there around the outdoor pavilion, picnic lawns for both HVSF use and community, gardens for both HVSF use and community. You know, while that sort of addition is not a sort of requirement or mandate, it's just a protected use if the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival, as they move forward, kind of continues to find different ways to invite Philipstown residents into use of that space. So that was just a suggestion I want to put forward.
I think that makes sense. You know, and that's the intent, is to have those uses be allowed by the zoning and to continue to invite the community in as it has been in the past.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Steve, do you want to add anything?
No, this has been something of a high-profile application in the town. I think that all the town board members are familiar, at least in general terms, with what's being proposed. You have the local law before you that would allow the proposed use. You're going to hold a public hearing on it. You may decide to make changes to the local law after the public hearing has been held. That would require extending the public hearing in order to allow the public to comment on the proposed changes. But right now where you are, if the board's satisfied that they understand what the proposal is, and you're satisfied with this one change to what the language would be in the local law, it's time to introduce it and schedule a public hearing.
Pretty good with that? You guys set? Okay, so we'll go right on to it, Tara?
Yep, so the next thing on the agenda is a resolution introducing a proposed local law to repeal Town Code Chapter 175-61.2 entitled Garrison Golf Club Planned Development District and reenact it as a new code Chapter 175-61.2 entitled Garrison Cultural Conservation Planned Development District, and this is a roll call.
Okay,
Now,
can I,
this is also setting the public hearing, just
Yes.
FYI, which
so
we,
first we'll introduce the law and we'll,
Public hearing date's right in the resolution. What date do you want to hold the public hearing?
so Tara, you had some ideas?
no, I just, no, I don't,
I
I
just have
didn't
my
have
calendar.
ideas. I
Oh,
just
I
wanted
thought
to
we-
remind you that January 4th, which is the date of our next regular scheduled meeting, we will have our reorg before that at 7. So
Yeah, no, that-
my suggestion would be not doing it the same night.
No. So let's,
that's just
we can go the following Wednesday, which would be January 10th. Does that work for everybody? Does that work for you guys, the applicant? Yes?
Yes, thank you.
January 10th, it's a Wednesday. And that would be at 7:30 PM?
7:30 standard
Okay.
time. We're also going to do another public hearing that night as well. I'll talk to you. Okay, so can I get a motion to introduce the local law and to schedule a public hearing for Wednesday, January 10th at 7:30 PM? Can I get a motion?
Introduce the local law with the change that under section 3D, permitted uses, use number 12, customary home occupations will be eliminated and stricken. And items 13, sections 13 and 14, items, 13 and 14 will be renumbered 12 and 13.
Gotcha, like he said.
We also use that.
So, okay, so we have a motion.
I don't know if you want to change that over to or not, or where you stand. You discussed it, they said they were okay with it. If you want to make a motion to add that language, that's fine.
Do you want to add it?
Yeah, could I make a motion, if that
You
is?
don't make them, you propose that the resolution would be to introduce it with those changes. You don't need, the motion will be, it'll be incorporated in the motion, introduce it.
For items, get back to that.
I do, should I just read those proposed changes?
Yes.
Okay.
So in section D, we're going to add language for both Hudson Valley Shakespeare use, as well as community use for the picnic lawns and the
Item eight.
gardens. Are you guys okay with that?
Yes.
Yes, so we'll add that into to the motion. And we're striking number 12.
Was there anything besides picnic lawns,
And
Jason?
then item 9, gardens, again, for both HVSF use and community.
Right, so it's item 8, picnic lawns, and item 9, garden meadows and walking path will be utilized by both HVSF as well as the community. All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Roll call vote. Councilwoman Cotter.
No.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Farrell.
Aye.
Councilman Angel.
Aye.
And I vote aye. All righty, thank you. So we're scheduled for a public hearing on the 10th. Thank you, gentlemen.
Start from the top?
Well, we have Mayor Winward here and and David Maroney, a trustee from Nelsonville. So we altered our schedule a little bit to accommodate people that are here, so we'll get you guys. And the minute I saw this item on my agenda, I couldn't wait to hear you talk about leaves tonight, Dave. So if you guys want to come up and just do a quick presentation about, the microphone's over here, Dave.
Take them off. Jump.
Trustee Maroney, I should call him. Hi, Mayor Winward, how are you? Hi, how are you, sir?
Hi.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
This is the first for me.
So, you had spoke to me about getting a place to drop leaves at our old landfill facility. And I know you spoke with Adam. I spoke with Adam today. He said there is space. I'm just wondering how the program would work and how we're going to regulate it.
Well, I guess if we get a start on it, to, get Adam, and 'cause he had mentioned he could make room.
Right.
And once we know where the room is in, how do you bring the leaves in, bag them, open the bag, take the bag, or leave the bag in a separate pile
And dump it.
and dump them?
My only concern is,
I don't want any bags.
yeah, we only have one day where that facility is staffed, which would be on Saturday, and he's got his hands full already. But if it doesn't really require, I'm concerned about, first of all, regulating it, and who's going to say they're Nelsonville residents, and so that's a concern, unless you guys, for the whole town. And then the other question is, are you a town resident? So it'll go back to,
It would help the town too. in a
sure, but
sense.
it's got to be somebody, there's got to be somebody there to regulate it. Good night, Glenn. There's got to be somebody there to regulate. We can't just have a free-for-all, because who knows what people are going to come up with, bags of whatever, and dump it, other than leaves. So my concern is always staffing it. Because, the food scraps, we were talking the same route, but
I seen
we
those.
need somebody there,
I was
because,
up there the other day, they had one guy dumping metal, I guess in the metal bin, the guy came up to the food scrap,
right.
Yeah,
So it would require some, regulation. Somebody's gonna have to, because the bags would have to be checked as to what's in them.
right, yeah, that's why you actually, you open them up and you dump the bag, so you know what's in them. And we go through that with we have the cleanup here in the village.
Right.
And we had one resident, he had a private contractor bag, all his bags. We had 40 bags that we got stuck paying for.
And my other concern is, you just mentioned it, is commercial, landscapers going up there and dumping.
Yeah.
So that would have to be eliminated, because, we have some space, but it's not,
Not that much.
Not that much space.
Yeah, one contractor gets in, everyone
Yeah.
thinks they can dump them.
We'd like to suggest
yeah,
Come on. We'd like to suggest that all residents of Philipstown, at their leisure, be able to come and bring leaves and small yard debris
Right.
to the dump. Same protocol as anything that's brought to the dump. The person who mans it would make sure that they're dumping the appropriate thing in the appropriate place. And it would be whenever they're there, and regular timing and everything. We've found that folks are, some folks really are conscientious about cleaning up their yard debris and want to bring it someplace and have a good place to mulch it and make it useful. And they store it up in their sheds until, the assigned days for pickup. But there's a lot of people who would love to just bring it on their own when they can.
right, you guys are not like where we are, we just push it in the woods.
Right.
We don't have that, we don't have that
Doesn't work
luxury.
that way. I just let mine blow in my neighbor's yard, it's easier.
Yeah.
I understand the program sounds great, but again, it's regulating it and making sure that it's leaves, it's Philipstown residents, and it's not commercial
Right.
providers. So, Bob, do you want to speak with Ryan and feel?
Yeah, I'll
feel
talk to
about-
Ryan over the weekend on Saturday, see what it is. So, because, he's a little busy up there certain times, people come in spurts, right? But when you say other debris, are you talking sticks?
We usually say not sticks,
Okay.
when we do our pickup, but that's for discussion. I'm not an expert in mulching and everything, maybe that's good, waste to have to help add to the mulch pile. And then maybe one day, we're able to have some soil that's really great that people in the town can come and get it.
40 years from now, get a little topsoil out.
I don't think it's
I don't know
that
how it
long,
works
but
Pretty close to making compost up there. We got fruit scraps, we got
Right.
leaves,
Right.
put them together.
Well, it's stirred every day.
and yeah, we're so happy that the food scrap program is
Right, it's working well.
successful and
Yeah, I'll talk to Ryan over the weekend too, but my concern is, my biggest concern is people going up there with plastic bags, right?
Right.
And they leave the plastic bags. People aren't even supposed to put plastic bags in our recycling with the cardboard and all that. There's not supposed to be plastic bags in there, and there are. So, I mean, plastic bags and leaves, so it's easy for someone to do it, you
If you
know?
have a plastic bag, they stay in front of your house until you change the bag.
You bring the bag home with you.
Yeah, but we don't take plastic bags at all.
Right, which is good, but my concern is if everyone up,
Set the rules and, you know, they won't be allowed to like even bring the bag clothes if they're not in a appropriate bag.
I'll
or
talk to
whatever.
Ryan over the weekend. I also like to know where Adam's location is up there.
He said there was a spot. I spoke to him briefly about it
Yeah,
today,
I'd like
but
to know where it is, though,
Yeah.
because one time I was up there, someone from Nelsonville, a couple, I said, what are you doing here? He goes, you started blowing out leaves. I said, okay, I let him do it, but he was way down.
damn Nelson.
It was where all the, it was far away from where Ryan was, so yeah, I need to know where the location that Adam is talking about too.
Brian is there Tuesdays as well?
He is to the end of this year, because that was a
Till the
pilot
end of this
program,
year.
okay? And we're not sure if we're gonna move forward with that, because to be quite honest, there's really not that much
Not that
activity
many people using
on
it.
Tuesdays. I mean, I gave him a spreadsheet, he's been tracking it, so we'll see what he comes back with at the end of this year, but right now, to me, I don't think it was worth it. So anyway,
But he's there Saturdays.
he's there on Saturdays from 9 to 3. All right,
All right, so
definitely look into
we'll
this.
take a look at it and
At
get
least,
back
at
to you.
least it's a start,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something, you know? So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now we can get right into the agenda. Mine's all mixed up now. so-
First is a resolution authorizing the return of escrow for KPB Properties LLC, 201 Old West Point Road, West, Garrison, tax map number 71.20-1-4.
So this was mentioned earlier, this was approved by the planning board to return the escrow. So I get a motion to return escrow to KPB Properties LLC, 201 Old West Point Road West, Garrison.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution accepting the retirement of Ann McGrath Gallagher, effective January 2nd, 2024.
So, Ann has served the town in several different capacities for, I believe it's 25 years. Tara, I think she's got 25 years. She was the planning clerk, zoning clerk, and then a few years back, she came in and became the confidential secretary to the supervisor. So she worked with Richard, and she has worked with me for the past 2 years. And it's, she reminded me today, I did make her cry once, so I apologize, Ann, if you're watching. I did make her
Only
cry.
once?
We have a long family tie. My mother is actually Ann's godmother, so our families go back a long way. She's a wonderful, wonderful individual, and really works hard for the town of Philipstown. She is leaving at the end of the year. We will not be having another full-time person. There is some retirements going on within the town hall and moving around, so we are going to eliminate one full-time position. So it will be covered by, my office will be covered by somebody else. So, and we appreciate the years that you've done for us, and we'll regretfully accept this. She really wrote a long letter. This is to inform the town that I will be retiring effective Tuesday, January 2nd. So my appreciation to Ann, I'm sure Richard would add to that as well. So can I get a motion to accept Ann Gallagher's
So
resignation?
moved. Thank you, Ann.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Hey, I'd like just to, thank Ann for all her many years of service. Ann's an easy person to get along with. I have a good relationship with her as well. So, Ann, I just wish you the best in retirement, along with your husband Ethan. Now you're both retired, so good luck to you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Next is a resolution authorizing Putnam County Youth Court the use of the town hall for the 2024 winter and spring session on a monthly basis.
So we've hosted the youth court here for a year and a half, 2 years at this point. So we are going to continue that. It's a great program. It teaches children the use of the court and how the operations of the court. And they actually have cases that are pending and binding. So it's interesting to watch. They had a ceremony here last year. It was interesting. They do have a positive effect on the people that come before them. So can I get a motion to approve the use of town hall for the Putnam County Youth Court for the year 2024, winter, spring.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. Man, we are flying.
Next is a resolution awarding the 2024 highway material bids as recommended by Adam Hotelling, Highway Superintendent.
Tara, you're gonna have to read through each one of these.
I gladly will.
So we solicit quotes for every different type of material that you can think of. We go through this process every year. Adam then gets the bids back, reviews them to make sure that they are applicable, that the bidders are reliable, and that the prices are the lowest that we can possibly get. So my appreciation to Adam and the crew up there for putting this all together. It makes it a lot easier when we need something in a hurry. He goes through this list, I need item 4, it's delivered, and the price is set at the beginning of the year. So can I get a motion to adopt the highway material bids recommended by Adam Hotelling for year 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution introducing local law entitled, "A Local Law Amending the Town Code of the Town of Philipstown by repealing Article 6 entitled Exemption for Qualified Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers of Chapter 156 entitled Taxation, and reenacting the same as a new Article 6 entitled Volunteer Firefighters and Volunteer Ambulance Workers Real Property Tax Exemption in compliance with the 2022 amendment to the New York State Real Property Tax Law, Chapter 466A, and setting a public hearing for such."
Okay. So Councilman Flaherty and myself have to recuse ourselves from this because we are both eligible for this. So which one of you ladies would like
I'll
to?
start, and then Councilwoman Cotter will also make some comments. We have been working closely together and speaking to all of the emergency services in Philipstown, as well as the school district. And we are fortunate, whether there's a fire or an accident or other emergency in our community, to have volunteers who drop everything and help. And tonight we are putting forth this resolution to participate in the tax exemption program, to provide an incentive for our current volunteers and also to recruit new volunteers. And we want to thank all of the volunteers for their service. And Megan, do you want to add anything to that?
I'll piggyback off what Judy has said. We've been working on this since, I'd say, the end of September with the local, with Haldane. And I think it's, this is something that's really important for our community because we have to think about the individuals that come out during, whether it be a holiday or a weekend, and they're there to help us and protect us. And with these volunteers, we don't have a high tax if we were to have a fire department. So this is something that's really important for us as a town to put together.
Can I just comment on it? I'm not voting on it, but can I comment it?
If you recuse yourself, you really shouldn't participate, John. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
It's all good stuff. I'm sure what John wants to say. So again, like Judy said, we're going to go ahead and put this resolution in and leave it open for public hearing, hopefully in the new year, if anybody wants to comment. So.
Sure.
I'm speaking as a commissioner of the Garrison Fire District, and I just am a little confused as to how our district should operate, because we've taken this matter up amongst ourselves and passed a description of who would be eligible within the Garrison Fire Company for this exemption. But is this an attempt to standardize what all the subdivisions are doing? I mean, we set rules like they have to be in the service for 5 years, or they have to do this, or have to do that. And I'm wondering whether we're just doing this in a vacuum, or there should be sort of a standard policy amongst fire districts. As to, we do have, last count, 4, maybe 5. So I'm just looking for, is this something that we need to try to get in line with something that you're going to do, or other districts are going to do, or is this just something we can do ourselves, and if so, we already have, because we agree with Judy and Megan that it's the right thing to do?
We have shared it with the school district, and we also did meet, with the fire districts. And we do have the language. We didn't want to read the whole resolution, but if you would want us to read it, have you read?
That what we did is in line with what you did.
Right, you did it before, Garrison did it before us, right.
Judy, did you want to touch on the percentage of that?
Yes,
or-
I mean,
All I want is to make sure that we didn't do something that jumped the gun.
No, you didn't.
We want to make sure, and I don't know who you spoke to, but I just want to make sure that we're not out of line with anything, and that we're actually going to be in line with what other districts are
Well,
doing.
we're in line, what we're proposing, the percentage is in line with what other districts have proposed, which is 10%. And Steve, is there any other eligibility issue that you think we should speak to? I mean, it's in the resolution.
Well, it's laid out in the law as far as that goes. 2 years of service. You have to be a town resident. The property has to be in the town. You have to have a statement from your fire company that you're actively enrolled. Now, you're right that it's up to the fire district as to what it is they actually have to do in terms of hours of service and the like. But
If we could be at 5 years and you could be at 2 years, somebody else could define length of service different.
I think 2 years is pretty standard. I'll be very surprised if it's different in other municipalities. Now, this only gives a tax.
There's the ability for us to say, well, we don't think 2 years is enough, it should be 5.
Well, you can say that, I suppose, but the town's going with 2, and that's pretty much standard for all municipalities.
We just may have to revisit this.
I mean, you want to encourage people to join, and, 2 years service is a pretty good indication you have a commitment. I don't know why you'd move it to 5, but.
I agree, I think we just picked 5 because we didn't know what else to do.
You can amend
Read the whole, that's close
They
to
can
it.
amend that? Steve?
Oh, sure.
Yours.
Yeah.
You can amend it. You can amend it to be
Yeah, no,
similar.
Judy, that's all we want to do is be in line
Sure.
with whatever.
Now, to follow, like, being in line, like I said, Judy and I have been working on this since September. We spoke with the Garrison School District that also that approved this. We've been talking to the local school districts as well as the, the surrounding, people taking, taking this on. So we did our research and our due diligence, and the 2 years mark is what is happening, so.
And then we'll have another look at it, because if we're out of line with that, we can redefine it. We didn't have any guidance, particularly.
Right, the law had
When we
just
decided that
passed.
we should do it. But what we don't want to do is be, we at 5 years and everybody else is at 2. We want to make sure that it's pretty standard town-wide, because you all taking the trouble to make it standard.
Sure.
So Steve, would the fire department, would they then go back and amend it to 2, or?
The fire district would have to if they have it at 5 now, yeah.
Okay, so then you guys would have to, okay.
Town taxes, it's just district. special
Yes, we met with all the fire departments and emergency services.
Services in Putnam, in Philipstown.
Yeah, we have.
Good.
There's a lot of you.
This is, yeah.
Does that, Megan, does that mean, or Judy, so someone who qualifies gets a 10% exemption on their property taxes? Or
Their
how is it?
property tax.
On their property taxes, every year?
As long as they're active.
Yeah,
Or, yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
and there's a lot of them, and so thank you for your service.
Okay, so, we have to propose the local law?
Well, we have to pick a date for the public hearing first, and I think the suggestion was to do it the same night as
The other,
the other one, January 10th, this one at 7, and then followed by the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we don't have.
Sure.
I thought there was a timeline, Steve, for this. Is there not for this local law? There's not? Oh, under the state, like
A deadline?
the deadline, was it?
Oh, well, yeah, it has to be in place by taxable status date, but that's not till March.
Okay.
So you have time.
we have some
The only thing I would say is the resolution's drafted for 7, and you're starting the other public hearing at 7:30. You're not gonna take that long on this public hearing. We're gonna be, not that I
7:15?
don't enjoy spending time with the board, because I
Oh,
can bill for it, but, among other things. But what you might wanna do is set them both for 7:30, and you can always start public hearings late. So then get this
Oh,
one
okay.
knocked out, and then do Shakespeare
So 7.
Festival.
So 7:30 for this one also then, okay.
What is that, the same day?
Yeah.
January 10th.
Okay.
Oh, so I have to introduce
Now
it,
you
yes? Okay.
All right, that's all you have
So,
to do.
I'm not reading the whole thing, though.
No.
Whereas the town board of the town of Philipstown has before it a local law before it entitled a local law amending the town code of Philipstown by repealing Article 6 entitled Exemption for Qualified Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers of Chapter 156 entitled Taxation and reenacting the same as a new Article 6 entitled Volunteer Firefighters and Volunteer Ambulance Workers Real Property Tax Exemption in compliance with the 2022 amendment to New York State Real Property Tax Law 466A. And whereas, in order to take action on the said local law, it is necessary to schedule a public hearing. Do you have to put the date in? I should mention.
No, that's
okay.
further down. You can strike then make specific referrals. I should not have put that in.
Oh, okay.
There are no referrals.
Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the movement of this resolution does hereby introduce the above proposed local law, and two, that a public hearing on the proposed local law is set for January 10th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m., and that due notice of the same is directed to be given by publication and posting. Judy Farrell presented the foregoing, Councilmember Farrell presented the foregoing resolution, which was seconded by
I second.
Councilwoman Cotter.
Yes.
And the vote on the foregoing resolution is a roll call vote as follows. Councilwoman Cotter,
Yes.
Councilman you're recused.
Flaherty, you need to say abstain.
Abstain.
Supervisor Van Tassel,
I also abstain.
Councilman Angel,
I vote aye, and I want to thank Judy and Megan for all of their work. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah.
thank you, and I vote aye.
Great.
Next.
Moving right along.
Next is a resolution approving of and authorizing Supervisor Van Tassel to sign the intermunicipal agreement for mutual aid in winter snow removal and ice control on public roadways with the village of Cold Spring.
Okay, so this is something we started, I believe, 2 years ago. Cold Spring had some issues with staffing due to COVID and other circumstances, so, and it is a reciprocal agreement. We approved it for the past 2 years. We can help them, they can help us, so it's just a formality to enable us to charge them, and they could charge us if that is the situation. So, could I get a motion to approve the IMA with the Village of Cold Spring for snow removal?
So moved.
Second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
And then last is the resolution establishing the standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials. We had done this in October, but it was brought to my attention that Steve Tillman did have an ROA, so we were told we had to redo the resolution and recertify, so.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept the ROA for Stephen Toman?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote, Councilwoman Farrell.
I vote aye.
Councilman Angel.
Aye.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cotter.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you, Steve.
Next is to schedule any workshops or meetings. We have next Wednesday, December 13th, we have the public hearing on the local law about the oil storage moratorium, followed by the year-end meeting. And then January 4th, we have our reorg meeting at 7, followed by the regular meeting at 7:30. And then now we have the 2 public hearings on the 2 local laws that were introduced tonight on January 10th, starting at 7:30.
The year end is always the highlight of my year. Oh, it's so much fun.
That year-end meet, is it the same, is that public hearing, will that take a half an hour, the oil moratorium, you think?
I think it might,
Okay,
I think it matters.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get quite a few
Yeah.
people
okay.
at that one.
so.
Anything else we need to schedule? I think we're booked.
Well, we can, I don't know if we need to speak about it at this meeting, but the swearing in, we have to be
Yeah,
sworn
so
in.
Tara and I had a discussion today about that. We'll be doing it here, I would say, on New Year's Day. Does that work? We'll do it right on.
Yeah, the only other person I have to reach out to is Adam, and then the new the new judge. You just tell me what time. You
On
wanna
New
do
Year's
it.
Day?
Yeah,
What's
it's,
that?
it's a Monday, we're closed. We'll be
Yeah, so it would be
Who's
Monday
gonna
the
swear us
1st
in?
at noon, does that work?
Sure.
John
Someone had
wants
suggested
me
before
to
the
swear
town board
him in.
meeting.
I don't know.
Oh.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
It's really, it's old, it's getting old at this point, but the swearing-ins are getting old at this point.
Well, we gotta do it, so.
So we'll work that out and fine tune it, and we'll advertise it and let people know, so. Yeah.
Just on the phone on the hike.
We could go on the hike early, Bob, if you're up for that. I'm
You
ready.
should hear after your hike.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. First day hike. We can do that at 7. We could be here by noon.
Oh, we have the award
But we'll
that,
get to that. We still got the code enforcement report.
Yes.
That's you.
So we have for November 2023, total fees collected was $22,821.45. There were 20 total permits issued, 3 additions, alterations or repairs to residential buildings, 1 addition, alteration or repair to a commercial building, 16 all other permits, 30 certificates of occupancy were issued, 1 stop work order was issued, there were 2 inspections of public assembly, and 1 inspection of commercial occupancies.
Thank you to Greg Warner. That's it, we're set. We're through it.
Next is any other business that may come before the town board.
I have a few items, and first of all, I'd like to make a comment about the emergency services. As somebody, I've been in it for 40 years, and I think we are at a critical point of surviving as volunteers. So hopefully this incentive will assist. We'll see. Anything can help. So I also wanted to mention, there's one individual, James Matero, Jim Senior, who has spearheaded a group to do a recruitment drive for the town. And it's been successful. They've gotten membership, and it's the 4 fire departments working together, which is something we've tried to do for years. So my hat goes off to Jim. There's a lot more people involved in it, but he really has spearheaded this. He's a wonderful individual. He's a close friend of mine. He's a New York State fire instructor, a great firefighter, was the chief of Montrose, and he's been involved in North Highlands for years. But the fact that it's a town-wide drive, I think, goes a long way. I know at Community Day on Main Street in Cold Spring, I think they got 5 new members for Cold Spring Fire Department, I think 3 in North Highlands, and I know a couple to the other departments. So I really appreciate the fact that they're doing this. This will, in my eyes, prolong the volunteer service for the town. You know, we subsidized both ambulance corps for paid EMTs. It's a great use of money in my eyes, because there's nothing more important than when you're sick or you need an ambulance that you call, and you're going to get an ambulance here in Philipstown, provided we're not covering Putt Valley or Kent, which we seem to be doing on a regular basis again. The new year should bring relief to that because of the new arrangement with the new contract. I am meeting with the county executive next week and his assistants, so I will certainly be vocal about it. I've been very vocal to both the supervisor of Putnam Valley and the supervisor of Kent, that I feel that we're being abused, and we are being abused, and it's back again. So I didn't hear it. I have my pager on all the time, so I listen to these calls, and when I hear the ambulance going to Kent or Putt Valley, which is wonderful, we're here to help, but it needs to be reciprocal. It needs to be an equal amount, and it's not. We're going far too often, so it's abusing our system. So again, I'd like to thank Jim Matero as well as the rest of the committee for really putting a lot of time and effort. It was a lot to get the 4 departments to sit down. They seem to be working very well together, and I think it's the future of emergency services for the town of Philipstown. So that was one thing I wanted to mention. I did attend a meeting at the town of Cortland with the supervisor for the town of Cortland regarding the dam at the the Cortland Dam in Continental Village. So the DC had required work to be done on that dam. The dam was rebuilt in 2008, but they noticed some minor spalling, it's called, of the concrete, so there will be a repair done. The town of Cortland engineer has organized the project. Unfortunately, it's $125,000, and 67% of it goes to the town of Philipstown. So despite the way it works, they are taking it over. I appreciate that they're doing the work and organizing the work, but we will foot the bill of about $85,000 coming from the town of Philipstown. So, and that's based on the assessed value of the properties that are in the Continental Village community. So that's one thing. Big news on the Garrison Landing Water District. I met with Mayor Foley as well as Matt Krug and Ron Gaynor in reference to the Village of Cold Spring Water Department assisting us with the Garrison Landing Water District. We currently pay a company, it's called H2O, to do the daily testing, all the required testing for Putnam County Health Department. They also are in charge of leak detection and emergency repair. I reached out to Mayor Foley for their assistance. They have 2 licensed water treatment plant operators, so they are going to assist us. We have to come up with an IMA for that as well. But it's another example of us working together to benefit our constituents, and both municipalities will benefit from it. So we still have to work up a price. We are assisting the Village of Cold Spring with the building department, so I'm thinking we can do something here to work that out. We're also working with the Village of Nelsonville with their, covering their building department. So, and it's working well. I think the communities are getting better service, and we're all saving a little bit of money by doing it this way. But my appreciation to Mayor Foley as well as Matt Krug. He thinks it'll take him about an additional hour. This has to be done every day. Christmas, Thanksgiving, so it's a daily test that has to be done. So we did, just in case the village didn't take it, we did solicit RFQs, requests for qualifications from providers. We got 1 response. So fortunately, we're going to be working with the Village of Cold Spring. So Matt met today with the guy from H2O. I think they worked out what they need. The representative from H2O is also going to continue to be available by phone if we have some issues, which of course we will with the Garrison Landing. As far as the permitting goes, I've called Putnam County Health Department at least once a week since our meeting with Ron. I was promised that we would have it before Thanksgiving. I was then promised it's on my desk. It will take me 3 hours to do it. It'll be done today. Nothing. Ron reached out to him earlier this week, and he was told the exact same thing, that it's on my desk and you'll have it by the end of the week. So tomorrow is the end of the week. I did reach out to the county executive's office again yesterday, to see if they could put a little pressure on the county health department to get this thing in. We really need to get this permit so we can start construction. We can't go out to bid until the plan is approved. So as much as I'd like to just start digging across the golf course and running the new water line, we do have to wait for the Board of Health approval on that. So I guess I'm almost there. Sorry. I was on a Zoom call this morning with the Putnam County Housing Corporation, which is Barbara Scuchamaro, former councilwoman here, as well as our county legislator. She's on this group, and they assist. We do have pamphlets available here. It's not associated with Putnam County. It's a non-for-profit group that is funded to assist people who are struggling with housing issues. If you can't afford to have your roof done, if you can't afford to have your septic pumped, which seems to be a big item that they are addressing, oil in your oil tank, you can reach out. We have pamphlets available downstairs in the clerk's office. You can reach out to this group, and there is assistance available. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for renters or rent. So, but the program is there if you know somebody that's in need. I also had a meeting with Hudson Highland Fjords Trail. I'm part of the steering committee. Mayor Windward, you were on as well. They discussed the release of the newly proposed design for the planned section between Breakneck and Dockside, which is approximately a 2-mile stretch of the trail. It consists of about 50% is elevated, like a boardwalk style, and another 50% is a grade level trail. The elevated section is proposed, it would be 10 feet wide. They have not final selection of the material, but there is a discussion of either concrete plank or a glue lam surface. The material for the ground level trail will be a gravel trail, so it would be able to drain water. That's the basis of it. It's obviously still up for a lot of discussion, but the other thing.
There is a lot of community concern about concrete.
Sure, sure. And it's, there's plenty of public meetings that are going to be scheduled. This was just the steering committee meeting. There's a lot of concern about all of it. The elevated section, I spoke to them today. I think the bulk of the elevated section is in that area because they told me less than 25% of the trail will be elevated. So this is 1 mile. If it's a 2-mile section and it's 50%, so it's 1 mile elevated. So 1 mile of it that's elevated is in Philipstown. So the rest of it, it's only 25% of 7.5 miles. So I don't know what the math is on that, but we'll see. Mayor Winward, would you like to add anything about the steering committee meeting?
Wasn't prepared to do so, but I thought one of the interesting regulations cited was that the trail would have to be 25 feet from the rail, and that's all I'll say.
Right, yeah, so there's a, Metro North is mandating a 25-foot buffer from the railroad, and they're also mandating an 8-foot fence. So you would have an 8-foot fence going the entire length. There was a discussion about soundproofing the 8-foot fence, which would, make it, if you ride the LIE or the Taconic, where you see those big, giant concrete sound fences, not that they would be that size, but it would be an 8-foot sound barrier. That was also discussed. So there's a 25-foot minimum, and then the plan is to go another 5 feet with a vegetation barrier. And I questioned, so if you have an area where there's more space, would you hug the railroad or would you hug the river? And they said they wanted to avoid mature trees, so it would kind of meander through the community. But there are sections where there's no way to make it not an elevated because it's over the water. So it would require pilings in the water. So there was discussion about, animals being able to cross, the effect on the tide. So it will be well vetted, I'm sure. So that's it. That's all I have. Anybody else? I think I had plenty.
I think I'd like to congratulate the town of Philipstown and especially our Climate Smart Task Force. I know Jason has been very involved, and Martha Upton, and everyone that's contributed to Philipstown receiving this award yesterday evening in Newburgh. I'll just read it. It is the Building Bridges Award. It's presented by the Hudson Valley Regional Council to the town of Philipstown for demonstrating a significant commitment to collaboration and partnership in the Mid-Hudson region. And this was received in collaboration with the Village of Cold Spring. So thank you to Martha, to Laura Bazzi, and to Mayor Foley in the Village of Cold Spring, and, our Philipstown community. We are proud to receive this award.
Racking up those awards.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank
Judy.
you, Nat, for the comprehensive plan too, because I think all of this stems from our vision for the town, so you've also contributed.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, visionary.
Anybody else from the board?
I'd just like to wish everybody a happy holiday season, wherever you do celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, whatever. But anybody, just have a good time, and I wish you to be safe and your families and enjoy it.
We will.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah this evening. And
Yes. Anything else from the board?
I just want to wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday season, like Bob said. And I just want to say again, with the first responders, I want to say thank you all. The community really truly benefits from everybody that volunteers their time, so.
All righty. Audience, anybody in the audience? Yes? Hi.
So I want to talk about the leaves. Can you just
Oh, yeah, come on up.
And to make us, to try to, I was notified that this item was on the agenda by other people who were also interested in this topic.
Right.
It's not strictly speaking what these guys talked about, but we actually didn't know what the agenda item was, and are taking advantage of the fact that it's on the agenda to kind of bring it up. And it has to do with a request that the town would leave the leaves on its properties instead of, leaf blowing them all and throwing them out. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this sign. It's up in a few places around. It's up in the village of Nelsonville at our pollinator garden, and it's up on a few other people's houses in Cold Spring who leave the leaves instead of removing every leaf from their property. Basically what it has to do with is leaves is a kind of recent recognition by scientists and naturalists, and I think it's now becoming a very commonplace, frankly, recognition, although I'm not so sure around here quite as much, perhaps as in other areas, that leaves should be left where they can be left. And not every leaf should be removed from everywhere. Obviously, leaves have to be taken off of, sidewalks where people might slip on them, but on, for example, the rec center property, the town hall's property, other than the sidewalk, any place where leaves can safely be left, they should be left, because they're actually the basis for the whole superstructure of nature on top of the leaves, because leaves contain all of the tiniest insects and microbes, etc., that are literally the beginning of the web of life. So there's been a whole bunch of books about this recently by Doug Ptolemy, like Nature's Best Hope, The Nature Votes, and lots of others. And so I think at this point, it's kind of just a really common sense notion that leaves should not be removed where they don't have to be removed. And obviously, I'm not talking about residents if they want.
That would be my yard. I don't remove.
That's fabulous.
I
That's
let the
fabulous.
wind
And
take
I loved your comment.
I let the
that where
wind
you
take
live,
care of
you
it.
can shove them in the woods, because as long as you don't use a leaf blower to do that, because unfortunately the leaf blower kills the very creatures that are on the leaves. But this is just a plea that the town could stop blowing leaves and removing leaves from town properties other than where necessary, like sidewalks.
I don't think we blow the roads off. We have a huge leaf blower that blows the roads and the gutters. Obviously, that needs to be taken care of, or the culverts would clog. But I don't think we do any leaf blowing at the rec center, because there's basically no trees. Yeah, it's just.
Well, they were blown at the town hall. I mean, I saw the leaf bags in front of the town hall. That people blowing.
Yeah, well, they rake the gardens out here, I'm sure.
So. I mean, anywhere, in other words, if the town could take steps so that it's not blowing leaves, I mean, to me, it's a tragedy. Like, I live on Secor Street and watching, all the leaves on Secor, literally, many of them are in the woods, be blown together and thrown in this giant garbage can.
Maybe we can pile them in your yard rather than the landfill then. What do you think? You'd have the healthiest yard in town.
I mean, I only have a quarter acre of land, but,
It's just
I
a
mean,
thought, Heidi.
putting them in the woods would be great. I would love, that would be superb if they weren't, like, boiled first by a leaf blower. Anyway, I heard from folks that this item was on the agenda, and I wanted to bring it up because it's really important, actually, to quite a lot of us. Anybody who's interested in nature around here and plants, it's actually a really, really important thing.
I agree. I never blew my leaves, but, and I also have a thing, but I'm not going to speak about it tonight, about leaf blowers, because some of them are very loud and also blow other things around, as you said. But I think it's a good thing if you can leave your leaves on the lawn and the grass, and it's safe. I mean, I also did break my ankle slipping on leaves, so you have to be careful.
I just do have to add here that it's a little bit of a cultural shift. I live right next door to my folks, so On our field, the leaves are all there. On my parents' field, they blow them off with a leaf blower. It's a constant fight. But as someone who farms, I mean, leaves, there's a reason why people farm forests, because that soil, all of those leaves feed the soil. So, I mean, it is just...
Father blows his leaves onto your...
And I'm like, bring them on, we'll put them in the compost pile, we'll turn them into compost, and it works out. But it is essential to kind of soil health. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Nat, you're our only audience member left. Do you have anything? No, gosh, no. Come on, Nat. You gotta have something.
Cold spring and gloves.
You're letting us down.
It's time to take a little break here, but we'll be back to you about some good things in the comprehensive plan that we can do again.
Wrap them up. Check them off.
We're gonna give you the month off.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, we have no vacancies. Approval of vouchers, general. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Highway. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Continental Village Park District.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Continental Village Water District. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion to adjourn. Thank you, folks.
Second. Aye.